My next guest is the author of a book entitled And the Crowd Goes Wild. Yeah! This is Joe Garner right here.
Tonight, relive the biggest sports events ever broadcast. Joining us from Chicago, the author and radio veteran Joe Garner.
Joe Garner.
Joe Garner.
Please welcome Joe Garner.
It's an event that comes from that hallowed category of sports moments, when the athletes push the limits, announcers reach for superlatives, and the crowd goes wild. When he first stepped into the ring in Kingston, Jamaica to defend his heavyweight title on January 22, 1973, Smokin' Joe Frazier was already a legend. He was the only man who'd ever beaten Muhammad Ali. Challenger George Foreman was taller, heavier, younger, yet the odds were 5-1 for Frazier. But just a few jarring seconds into the fight, George Foreman turned the boxing world upside down. ABC's Howard Cosell had the blow-by-blow.
I think Joe is hurt. Angie Dundee, Ali's trainer, right next to me is saying it. You may hear him. Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier!
Foreman sent Frazier reeling to the canvas 3 times in that first round. Then the second round began, and Foreman did it all over again.
There he goes! 3 times. It is over. It is over. It is over in the second round. George Foreman is the heavyweight champion of the world.
Foreman stripped Joe Frazier of his heavyweight title that night, and he left the ring with the crown and a reputation all his own. Countless music trends have come and gone in the 40 years since the Beach Boys first hit the top 40. But for at least 30 of those years, millions of American pop music fans have counted on one man to count down the latest top 40 hits. Casey, it's good to see you this morning.
Joe, it's a pleasure.
You know, Casey, I have to tell you, I, like probably a legion of thousands out there, got my start in radio, out there in the radio hinterlands.
Playing the show.
Playing the show, that's right. Now, I don't know why I feel compelled to have to share this with you, but I just want you to know that I never messed it up, not a single time.
Now, that makes you really one and one only, because every person who's ever told me they did the show said, and I got to tell you that once I dropped the needle on the wrong side and we went from 20 to number 6.
That's every young disc jockey's nightmare, of course, is to set on at the top of the hour. It's 10 o'clock or it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, whenever you played the show, and all of a sudden you heard, and now we're up to number 25. When you first counted down nearly 30 years ago, did you ever think that you'd be counting them down 30 years later?
Not 30, but 20 for sure. Now that's how sure I was of the people that worked with.
Why the concern about the last 10? Well, or was it the first 10?
I just figured 20 was a pretty good number. I figured if we could be around for 20 years, I could call that a very successful show.
Casey, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Great to see you.
What a joy to be with you and see you again.
The Hindenburg was an engineering masterpiece. It was an airship as large and as grand as the Titanic, and as doomed.
Well, here it comes, ladies and gentlemen. We're out now outside of the hangar, and what a great sight it is.
On hand to record the arrival of the Hindenburg that day was a young radio reporter named Herb Morrison. Instead, Morrison's broadcast would become electronic media's first example of disaster news coverage.
It's burst into flames. Get it started, get it started. It's crashing. It's crashing terrible. It's burning and bursting into flames. This is terrible. This is one of the worst catastrophes in the world. Oh, the humanity.
What caused the ship to ignite remains speculative to this day. But what's certain is that the explosion signaled the death knell of the passenger airship industry. But as Herb Morrison's eyewitness report that day chronicled the end of one era, it signaled the beginning of another. An age in which electronic media would routinely report these shocking events at the moment that they occurred.
Pleasure meeting you, sir. Good luck with the book.
Great, thanks. Nice to be with you.
Joe Garner